What's going on, beautiful people? It's your boy Warren Watches Wrestling back at you with another video. And today we'll be going over who will dethrone every current champion in the WWE. We will be doing the main roster and we will be doing NXT as well, going through all the titles, thinking who will be the next person to hold that title. And some of my predictions, I'm not going to lie, are out of left field, but sometimes you have to make fun predictions. You can't always go with the obvious choice. Some are the obvious choice, some are very boring. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Drop a like, drop a subscribe, drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think. We're going to start off with the good old-fashioned Women Tag Team Championship. And we do have new champions with Fatal Influence winning the titles. And they are your new champions right now. They're not really currently feuding with anybody. So it's kind of hard to make a prediction for who they will lose to next. That doesn't look like it's going to be the Bellas. I don't think it was going to be the Bellas anyway. For tag team in the women's division, you don't really have many choices. You know, Nia's going to have the women's title right now. Other than that, I can't really think of any tag teams, honestly, off the top of my head. So I went with the most recent newcomers that we do have, and that would be Tatum and Bliss. I do see Tatum and Bliss becoming a tag team. Looks like they are very much together, and Charlotte's kind of like that third wheel between the three of them. But I do like this as being the next champions. They love to put single stars together. They're in a group together. They both have the same gimmick. And like I said, I can see these two teaming up to become the champions, still hanging out with Charlotte, but eventually maybe Bliss making that heel turn on Charlotte and being like that big bully to Tatum. So this way we can still be fans of Tatum and we can turn Bliss heel. So this is my prediction for who will be the next women tag team champions. Moving on to the men's NXT titles. We do have, once again, new champions, with that being Tavion Heights and Miles Bourne. It was already announced that the Vanny Project will be taking on Miles and Tavion, the No Quarter Catch Crew. I don't know if they're still going by that, but they will be taking on them at Heatwave coming up at the end of August. And I honestly do see the titles kind of going right back to Vanny Project. I'm going to keep that simple, short, and sweet. I see Vanny Project getting these titles right back. Obviously, you know, WWE does see some potential with these guys, giving them the titles already. They're on NXT. They're getting screen time every single week, whether it's backstage segments or in-ring segments. I see them pushing these guys. And the fact Miles Bourne is doing this whole double duty at Heatwave, where he will have to face Jackson Drake for the title, and then he will have to face the tag team champions as well. This could also, force a split up with him and Tavion, turning one of them heel. We haven't really seen a heel Miles yet, so we might turn Miles here, if anything, because he'll be so, pissed off at Tavion for losing both titles. He can kind of blame him, play that card there, but I do see the titles bouncing right back to Vanny Project. Then we have the men's Raw Tag Team Championships, the pizza title, if you want to call it that. And we do have the Vision are still your champions, with Braun Breaker and Austin Theory win these titles. I think everybody's on the same page here. We don't really care who wins the titles next. We just want to get Braun Breaker out of the Vision, especially right now with him feuding with Oba. He does not need these guys by his side. They take away from his aura, if anything. They do not add to it in the slightest. Like I said, they are more or less taken away from his aura, and he needs to go be on his own. Who will they lose it to? There's actually more options than you might think on Monday Night Raw. You do have the Street Profits there. You do have Alpha Academy if you ever wanted to actually use them or call them in. I guess there isn't that many. It's really just them two. And then the team that I went with is the Usos. Clearly, the Bloodline is the main story of Monday Night Raw right now. We just had the awesome Soul Skull babyface turn, but the Bloodline is the Bloodline. The Usos are the Usos. If they wanted to put the titles on a main tag team, go back to give it to the Usos. They're obviously going to be featured every week. Are they going to have matches? No. But do the Vision have matches? No. And this way, at least you can get Braun out of the Vision without him making him look weak if they do lose to the tag team champions. Or you could have Oba get involved, whatever it might be. But I'm just going to go back to the basics and give the titles back to the Usos. This one was not easy to pick, but I just went with good old-fashioned Usos. With the Smack Team Tag Championships, we do have new champions. We just had MFT win these titles from Damian Priest and R-Truth, who I did believe actually had a pretty solid, fun run with the titles. They, like it or not, they were kind of fighting champions. They put on matches, more often than you might have thought. With their title run, it was, I believe, over 100 days, but it was a fun overall title run with the two. Maybe Damian will get pushed into either mid-card or world title shot soon. R-Truth is going to be R-Truth. But for MFT, moving forward on the SmackDown side of things, I mean, I know they have a current feud going on with Nakamura and whoever his surprise tag team partner is going to be. I don't see Nakamura and his surprise tag partners taking the titles from these guys. I see them holding it for quite some time, especially now that they have Haku with them. I see them holding these titles for at least a little bit of time, and maybe this is a stretch here. Maybe eventually down the line, we will finally realize what we have with Fraxium, one of the best NXT tag teams of all time, and they got called up to the main roster. It looks like they were going to get a push, but they never actually got that push, and now they barely fight. They're just fodder for whatever tag team they want to build up. They're usually losing to them, and hopefully sooner or later we get our shit together, WWE, and we finally push Fraxium, because Fraxium is one of your best tag teams. They're two of your best in-ring workers. They deserve to be champions. It doesn't even have to be anything really storyline related, not like we ever do any storyline related things with the tag titles. Just let them have it and go put on banger matches, because that's all they do. Every match they have is a banger match. They get the crowd chanting, "This is awesome," even if it's a random match thrown together. So hopefully WWE can get their shit together and just give Fraxium the tag titles. Up next, we'll do this really, really fast, hence the name, but we have the speed title right now. So women's speed champion is Ren Sinclair. She's been the women's speed champion for quite some time now. Does it really matter who she loses it to? Not really. It sounds like Zari is going to beat her for this title and then throw it out, is what the case is here. I believe they're going to bring both titles together, and Zari is probably going to be the one to win this title. But, for fun, I went with Karen Petrovich. Just for fun, because I do think if Zari wins it, we might not see the speed title anymore. She said there's going to be one dominant champion, and it's going to be your dominant North American champion. So I really don't even think this matters, quite frankly. But I probably would go Zari, but for fun, I just went with Karma. Just throw a name out there. For the men's speed title, we have Alexis King as your champion, and we had Lucian Price kind of go after the title. And you know what? I don't really feel like making another prediction. It might be EK Prosper. I think he has better things ahead of him. So I'm just going to go with Lucian Price to win it from Alexis King. Like anyone cares. For your NXT North American champion, we do have Zari, who is still your current champion right now. She has a match against Ren Sinclair at Heatwave coming up, and I don't see her losing that match to Ren. There are a couple women in this division you can go with that they are building up, but I do think it will eventually be Callie Armstrong. Now, like I said, I made this prediction kind of a couple days ago, like last weekend, but with Callie now, she even has a chance to beat Zari to be added to the Heatwave match to make it a triple threat match. So we could very well pull the trigger there without even Zari getting pinned. I do see Zari retaining at Heatwave, but I do see Callie eventually win this title. Clearly they have a lot of trust in her, and they're looking to push her to like the next scene, and whether it be the North American or the NXT title, they are clearly looking to push her to be the future right now. So I do see Callie Armstrong eventually winning that North American Championship. And up next, we have the United States Women's Championship, and we have the championship that is very much super cursed right now, it seems to be, because everyone that holds this title does not have a great reign. Every U.S. Championship reign we've had so far has absolutely sucked. Hopefully, JC Jane can be the change of that. Maybe get this title on a PLE, dare I say. Hopefully, she'll get screen time, get actual feuds for this title. They seem to have a lot of faith in Fatal Influence, so I'm hoping that they do push this title, continue to move it forward, and continue to build off of it. Now, her feud going forward, there's no one that she's set up with against right now. You could go a lot of different ways here. You could go maybe Paige. You could bring her and put her in this division. You have, Julia or Jordan Grace that you could dust off from catering. Hell, you have Blake Monroe that you haven't even debuted yet. So maybe you could put her against JC to be in a United States Championship feud. Would not be mad about that. You have a lot of people. You have Lash Legend that you could honestly pull off and have her be a United States Champion. A lot of options here, but I decided to go with a very, very mainstream option that I don't think people are talking about. And it goes along with my theme here. Charlotte Flair. As I said earlier in the video, I have Bliss and Tatum winning the tag titles from Fatal Influence. If you really want to complete this as a full feud 3-on-3, Charlotte Flair could win this U.S. title. We all know Charlotte Flair loves to win titles. She's the most world champions of all time for any women's. I think she's a 14-time world champion. And part of me was going to predict her to win the world title again, but I'm going to switch it up and have her win a U.S. title, because she might want to go after the Grand Slam champion if they want to instill that now for the women. But just a way to get her in the feud, keep her in the picture, make that U.S. title very, very, very relevant if you give it to someone like Charlotte, which I think was their plan with Tiffany, but that really never actually happened. But if Charlotte was to win this down the line, I do see Jace having a very fruitful reign, but if they want to pull the trigger on Charlotte, I'm probably the only one predicting this, so I'll claim that. Up next, we have your IC title, Intercontinental Women's Championship, and you have Raquel Rodriguez as your new champion. And she hasn't had any defenses yet for the title. We did kind of have like a number one contenders match with Sol taking on Lyra, and a part of me did want to predict Lyra to win this title just based on the fact that Lyra's character change deserves her to go after a title. Hopefully, maybe she'll win Money in the Bank. I'm a Lyra fan. I would love to see Lyra win that title. Other than that, in the really mid-card overall, there's not many people you can go with. Part of me was thinking maybe Io Sky, because she was feuding with Judgment Day, and she could take this IC title. So part of me does want to kind of go with Io Sky, but I went with just right back. Bounce the title back to Sol Ruca. She has a number one contendership match. Clearly, WWE wants to push her to be the future. And if she was to win this, she could go off and feud with Lyra, having the heel babyface feud for the IC title. And maybe she could have a better, more fruitful reign this time around, have some better feuds and everything else. So it's not the answer that I want to give, but I do see Sol Ruca winning this right back. And then we have the men's North American champion right now. And we have what is one of the more dominant champions in Miles Bourne. He's being pushed very well. He's obviously looks to be like the next face kind of NXT, as they are kind of building him up to be that champion. But I kind of, once again, hinted this early in the video. He's working double duty at Heatwave, and I think he could walk in as a double champion and walk out with no titles, because I'm going with Jackson Drake to actually win at Heatwave against Miles Bourne. I have Vanity Project beating Tavion and Miles, and I'm sure whatever match happens first, there's going to be post-match shenanigans where Miles Bourne will get beat down so they can win both titles. And like I said with Vanity Project, they definitely have faith in them. They have a lot of cash behind them. I think they are very great when they are on screen. And you put a title on Jackson Drake, this builds him up as a solo star, and you put the title on the rest of Vanity Project, draping them in gold. I think that's your play here, and I do see Jackson Drake actually being your next North American champion. For the men's U.S. title, I believe this is a picture of the women's U.S. title, but forgive me. For the men's U.S. championship, we have Baron Corbin. It's the same color anyway because it's a white furry belt for some reason. He still has a white furry belt. Why does he have a white furry belt? I don't know. I was going to go with Carmelo to eventually win this, but after the last episode of SmackDown, that doesn't seem to be the case. When I originally made this, I had the winner of this going after someone else. I mean, I wanted to low-key go with Ilya Dragunov, but after the news we got today, Ilya Dragunov no longer in the WWE, so I think there's only one answer to go with here. That's awkward. And that is Tricky Williams. I'm going to go back to Trick Williams to win the title right back, and I hate this answer, and I would not want this to happen, but I am going to predict it to happen just because it looks like that's what they are going with. I would have been much more happy if Carmelo was to win the title, and then we send Trick after the world title, whether it be with the Money in the Bank briefcase or however he might win it, like get a world title opportunity. I wouldn't be opposed to that, whereas now he already lost to Baron Corbin twice. But after Mello lost to Baron Corbin, Trick came out again. So I guess we're rerunning Trick Williams against Baron Corbin. And if they rerun it for a third time, I can't see them having Trick lose 3 times in a row to Baron Corbin. So I'm just going to assume that they bounce the title right back to Trick Williams in what is a pretty boring, annoying, shitty decision in my part. And then we have the men's IC title. And the men's IC champion right now is Chad Gable. I don't really see him losing this anytime in the near future because he just won it at SummerSlam, and he's already had another terrific match against Rey Mysterio, a good match against Penta. Now, hopefully, we can build towards a feud with him going on, not just have him put on banger matches, which is okay. Same thing Penta did, honestly. But let's build up a feud for this IC title. And actually, and there are options. You can, Big Cass just return. You could go a Big Cass to win it. You could put on a banger match with Javon Evans if you want to do Javon Evans. But overall, I'm going to go with who I think fits the mold of this title the most and who would be a great opponent for Chad Gable, and that is Ethan Page. I know it's just a simple face-heel chemistry that they would have, but Ethan Page does have it, man. He should be a champion. He should be a single star. It doesn't look like Rusev is around anymore. After he stormed off after the one show where he lost Javon, he just rolled out and walked away. We haven't really seen from him at all. We haven't seen much of Ethan Page either, but like I said, I don't see Chad Gable losing this anytime real soon, so hopefully by the time time that Chad Gable does lose this, we will build up a feud with Ethan Page. And if Gable does lose to Ethan Page, it won't be in a clean matter. I'm sure we're going to do some way to be a dirty little scumbag to win the title. And then you can go on and have a very good reign for Ethan Page, because I believe he is a mid-card champion type of wrestler. That's where he belongs. And I wouldn't be mad if he won the Money in the Bank, to be honest with you. I like Ethan Page. I love his work. But I see him being your next IC champion over someone like a Big Cass. Then it's time for the big titles. We have the Women's NXT Championship. And our champion right now is Kendall Gray. One of the best female wrestlers in all of wrestling right now. I think she has everything, man. Even her backstage segments are starting to get very interesting. She's starting to show a lot of character on screen. In ring, she can absolutely go. I think there's two things that can happen with Kendall Gray. She can hold this title for a long, long time before dropping it to the next star. Or they could take this title off her and call her up to the main roster like immediately. Maybe have her debut at a Rumble or have her debut shortly after that. But I don't think they're going to keep Kendall in NXT much longer. But if they do, I still would have the same answer either way. I believe that she will lose the title eventually to who will be the next face of NXT, that being Kalani Jordan. Kalani right now is terrific. She deserves a title opportunity. She is facing Kendall at Heatwave for the championship. Like I said, if they pull the trigger at Heatwave, I do see them pulling the trigger on Kendall coming up to the main roster. I don't know if Kendall or Kalani will beat her at Heatwave, but I see down the line, if they continue to tell the story, they continue to have Kalani chase and chase and chase. Even if she is a heel, it will be a feel-good moment for her to finally win this title that she's been chasing, that has been eluding her for so long. This is her first opportunity at the world title. It's a story they've been telling. She's never actually had an NXT Women's World Title opportunity match. So now she has her opportunity to win a Heatwave. I think it's honestly like a 60-40 chance, like 40% of Kalani winning, that she might win this title, because I do see them just calling Kendall up. I don't think they're going to waste that much time with Kendall in NXT, because right now she could honestly probably be used on like a Monday Night Raw for a mid-card championship. But if they want to keep Kendall as the face of NXT, completely okay with that. They can wait down the line until they want to call Kendall up. And I think when they do, they'll pass the torch off to Kalani, who I believe can continue to build, become a better character, become a better promo cutter, because right now her in-ring's already amazing. And if it's not Kalani, I don't know who else you would really give it to. I think she just fits the mold perfectly to be your next NXT Women's Champion. For the men's side of thing, it is Tony D right now, and Tony D'Angelo looked like he was going to hold this thing for a while because no one was really at the same level as he was, especially because he's been there so long. And then we have Naraka show up, who already beat. You thought it might have been Mason Rook going after, but he's not really doing anything at all. And then we brought in Cruz Montana, who just recently arrived. We brought in Grayson Waller, who just recently arrived. And I was going to go with Grayson Waller. I thought he could be a fun champion because he was the one having everyone kind of talk about NXT. Once he arrived and cut the promos and called everyone out, he put that division on notice. And I thought he was going to be your next champion. But I cannot ignore the fact that Zilla Fatu is here as he's in the match. His first match is going to be going after the championship. And I would not be surprised if WWE pulled the trigger and gave him the title immediately and then have him go on a dominant run. In my opinion, I think that they should give it to Grayson Waller first, just so we can hold off on Zilla for a little bit here, because I think once he wins that title, he's not going to be losing anytime soon. So unless you want him to mow down the whole roster that you're trying to build up, it might not be your best decision to give it to him. And it is a fatal four-way, so Grayson being a heel, he can win it in a very backdoor type of way, where Zilla hits a finisher and then Grayson comes in, throws him out, and steals the pin type of deal. Or you could do the Ethan Page type, where he gets knocked down and falls on the guy and picks up the win. Whatever you want to do, however you might want to spin it, I do think that they will pull the trigger on Zilla Fatu, though. I would rather see Grace win, but I don't see NXT waiting around. I see them just giving Zilla the title right now and having him run with it and be your next NXT star. For the Women's World Champion, we have the greatest Women's World Champion of all. I'm not doing it. Time. Liv Morgan. And Liv Morgan, it's been talked about enough. Her reign has not been great. It's been pretty terrible. Might be one of the worst reigns ever. Going 100 days without defending it. You finally defend it. You put on a pretty solid, good match with Io Sky. And then coming out of that, and the storyline about your title, it's not even about you. It's more about Stephanie and Becky feuding with each other as they're both returners, and you're kind of side piece to their feud going on. And I do believe one of them will win it, and I think it's going to be Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is your mainstay. She's your mainstream. She's been the women's world champion already. I mean, so has Stephanie Valkyrie. But Becky Lynch's work right now is the best out of anybody in probably the women's division. She's the best promo cutter, best, character worker that she's been playing right now. And you've seen as soon as she came back how much we miss Becky Lynch. Like I said, I do see, if I keep saying I do see, I'm going to hurt myself. But the plan moving forward most likely will be that triple threat at whether it be a Sunday Night Main Event or Money in the Bank or anything else moving forward. That triple threat is most likely going to happen because we're going to have the Becky taking on Stephanie Valkyrie in the number one contendership match. We're going to have, Judgment Day come out, interfere, beat them both up. Oh, no, neither one of you can fight me now. No, it's going to be a triple threat. Most likely will happen. And I see Becky Lynch winning that triple threat, being your next women's world champion, and then going into a feud, one-on-one feud with Stephanie Valkyrie moving forward. For the women's WWE champion, we still do have Chelsea Green as champion, as WWE played with our heartstrings as they were going to vacate the title for it. But instead, we had Chelsea Green cut the promo of her life. We had all display a great character and continue to keep Chelsea Green as champion. Now, right now, her next feud does look like it's going to be with Nia Jax. I do not see Nia Jax winning this title. I really hope the next champion isn't vacant because Chelsea Green should not be vacating this title. Well, technically, she's not even your champion. She's your interim champion because Rhea Ripley is still your champion, which makes no sense at all. I'm hoping that the next feud that she does have, if it is her versus Nia, that we do announce whoever wins that will be your champion. Not your interim champion, just your champion, because Rhea Ripley's not coming back for a couple months at least. But back to the topic with Chelsea Green being champion, her next competitor, once again, could go a lot of ways. You could have went with Charlotte Flair. Honestly, she's probably a good option here. You can go with Bliss. Could go back to Jade Cargill. A couple people you can pull the trigger with here. But I decided to kind of go with the story that they are telling her best friend, Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton she was forced to defend her U.S. title against Jacy Jayne because Chelsea Green is the one that got pinned in the tag match. Chelsea tried to come out to help Tiffany, but of course she was out there and Tiffany tried to protect Chelsea, causing her to walk into a Rolling Encore. Most likely this is setting up for Tiffany Stratton taking on Chelsea Green for that women's world title down the line. Probably after Chelsea beats Nia, she'll probably feud with Tiffany Stratton, and Tiffany Stratton will most likely win that title, setting up for what WWE probably sees as a much bigger match, that being Tiffany Stratton taking on a Rhea Ripley at whether that be, your WrestleMania or Elimination Chamber, whatever the big event might be. I see them pulling the trigger on Tiffany Stratton so we can set up Tiffy versus Rhea because WWE sees more money in that match than they probably would see if Chelsea was your champion. So I'm going to actually go with Tiffany Stratton winning that title back. For the men's world heavyweight champion, we have the OTC Roman Reigns as your men's champion, and I do not see this title going anywhere anytime soon. Now, would I be happy if they pulled the trigger on LA Knight? Absolutely. Would I be ecstatic if they said left field move and they gave to Solo Sikoa? Of course I would be, but do I see that actually happening? No. I see them continuing to tell the story of Roman Reigns beating all of his past ghosts that he had before, that he couldn't beat clean, that he had to use a bloodline to beat. Continue to tell that story. He'll probably beat Solo Sikoa clean by himself. He'll probably beat LA Knight clean by himself without the help of the bloodline. If we get a returning Drew McIntyre, he'll beat Drew McIntyre to show, to dust off all these ghosts, to force himself to be this dominant champion that we are building him up to be, as he still is the biggest star of all of wrestling. And eventually down the line, most likely at WrestleMania, he's going to lose this title to Oba Femi. I don't think this is a bold prediction. I'm pretty sure every YouTuber out there is going to make this same prediction because that is kind of what it is setting up to be, which is kind of annoying that we are waiting till WrestleMania to crown Oba Femi, but it looks like we're keeping him away from Roman Reigns. We're keeping Roman Reigns busy with the ghost of his past that he has to beat now cleanly, building him up to be this dominant champion so we can finally crown Oba as your next face of WWE, as your next world champion. Like I said, not the boldest pick out there, but I think it is the most obvious pick of this probably whole video. Then lastly, we have the men's WWE Undisputed Champion. And you know what's weird about this? That's a side take here. trying to find pictures for just the men's world title, like world heavyweight and WWE championship. There's really no good pictures to use. So I just have to use the generic photo. Not that any of that matters. Anyway, your champion right now is CM Punk, who just won this title off of Sami Zayn not that long ago. I want to say about, a month ago or so. And he's been your champion. And he has a match coming up against Kevin Owens actually, is it next episode of Friday Night SmackDown? Yeah, he'll be facing Kevin Owens for the title. I don't see Kevin Owens winning the championship there. I see them maybe pushing it down the line. I see Sami Zayn coming out and costing Kevin Owens this match because they're already kind of set up for that with them talking. He's like, I have your back, and Kevin's like, I don't need it. So Sami kind of said, I'll be here if you need my help. But him denying it makes me think that Sami will probably be the reason that Kevin Owens loses that match. And I was going to go with Cody Rhodes, the boring answer of Cody Rhodes. But with this new Randy Orton saying, I'm going to do anything and everything to keep you away from the championship, makes me think otherwise, that Cody Rhodes might not be winning this back anytime soon with Randy Orton being the way Randy Orton's being. You could go with Randy Orton, but I think Cody's going to do the same thing with him, not let him win this title anytime soon. Sami would be a fun option to go with, to bounce it back to Sami, but it would have to be in a backdoor way, whether that be Money in the Bank or in a triple threat match or whatever it might be, where he picks up a sneaky pin. My original pick when I made this video was actually Trick Williams. And I know that's a very, very left field pick, but I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something strange. And I wanted to say Trick Williams was going to win Money in the Bank and cash in on CM Punk. But with Trick Williams circling back to Baron Corbin, that's not going to be my answer here. My answer is going to be Kevin Owens. But like I said, I don't think Kevin Owens is going to win it at that Friday Night SmackDown episode. I think he is going to win it down the line. We all wanted Kevin Owens to, not all of us, but most of us wanted to beat Cody Rhodes to win the WWE Championship when he was feuding with Cody Rhodes, having that great feud. How did he follow that up? With an absolutely tremendous feud with Sami Zayn that he was having, and they were going to build to another great feud with Randy Orton that we were building towards before he did get hurt, disappeared, came back, got this opportunity, and now we have Kevin Owens back, and I do think that they will eventually crown him as your WWE champion. Will he hold it going into WrestleMania? Will he be a transitional champion? With the way WWE is, they probably don't see him as your dominant champion. They probably will have it be a transitional champion, but I do see him winning this title eventually from CM Punk, becoming your new Universal Champion at probably Money in the Bank, maybe earlier, maybe later. Maybe he'll win it at Money in the Bank and get cashed in on by Sami, telling that full story would be something. But I'm going to go with Kevin Owens to be your new top champion, your new QB1. Yeah, those are my predictions for who I think will be the next champion. Like I said, there was a couple I had in here that I had to change originally because I wanted to do something different or people got released. But let me know what your thoughts are, what you agree with, what you disagree with, what you think I'm right about, what you think I'm absolutely wrong and stupid for even saying. Drop a like, drop a comment, drop a subscribe. It's been Warren Watcher Wrestling. Y'all stay beautiful, world.